Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. It hasn't gone unnoticed on all of you that it's now Thursday lunchtime, and that would normally mean the walk-on music for Spencer Oliver. Yes, we're going to talk boxing, but not with Spencer at this point in time. I'm delighted to say talkSPORT fight host Ade Oladipo joins us live, and he walks in without his own walk-on music, and that's fine by me,
that's
mate.
Okay.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, Mike Tyson didn't have many walkout musics for his big fights. He just walked out with a little robe, not a robe, sorry, a ripped towel. So,
yes.
I'm comparing myself to Mike Tyson. I've gone too far here, haven't I? I've picked one of the best heavyweights of all time.
I think you're quite right to pick out Tyson. I wander around my apartment now and again just wearing a ripped towel and slippers.
Too much, Jim, too much.
But that's another story. We'll be heading up to Glasgow very shortly, my hometown. Not for that reason, though, but that's where Josh Taylor will be fighting this weekend, and we're hoping to speak to Josh Taylor alongside the man we've just been talking about, the one and only Spencer Oliver. Incidentally, you are looking forward to that fight, Sam, and you think that one with Josh...
I'm a big admirer of Josh.
Be a good one.
I'm a big admirer of Josh. I'd like to see him get an opportunity to be a two-weight world champion because I think he's never got the credit that he should have got. I think a lot of controversy around the Catterall fight has diminished the fact that he was a great fighter. And stepping up to 147, albeit that other people protest that he wasn't having challenges at the weight, I think he was.
100%.
And I think this is a great opportunity, and it's a good fight. It's a good competitive fight for him to start in that weight division with.
Okay, let's get right into it. Ade, is this a good fight? Manny Pacquiao, what? I thought it was over for him. Fighting for the WBC welterweight title against Mario Barrios. Yep, Manny Pacquiao, age 46, is coming back 4 years after his first fight. And not only that, he's coming back to face WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios on the 19th of July in Las Vegas. Pacquiao himself posted on social media, "I'm back. Let's make history." Are you delighted that he's back? Where do you stand on this,
The
Andy?
complete opposite of delighted. I think the whole thing's a disgrace. The WBC should be embarrassed. We look at the WBC as like the biggest and best sanctioning body. They're not the oldest. The WBA are the oldest, but we look at the WBC and what Mauricio Sulaimán's done with that belt. We recognise it as the belt to win in boxing, and what they've done by allowing this fight to happen and sanctioning it and giving Manny Pacquiao the opportunity to fight for a world title should be... I mean, it should be stopped. I would go as far as saying Nevada State Athletic Commission, this fight will be in Vegas. They're considered one of the best commissions and one of the most strictest. And you would almost think that they would say, okay, this shouldn't happen because there's no way Pacquiao is passing all the medicals at 46, having not won a fight for 6 years. He said his last fight was 4 years. He hasn't won a fight for 6 years.
But the WBC says he's passed all medicals.
I would love to see them. He had an exhibition fight last year, July, and he got bashed up in the exhibition fight. And that was in Asia against, I think, a kickboxer. And even I remember the talk after the exhibition fight was like, okay, we don't want to see Manny Pacquiao in another exhibition fight. Not a fight, an exhibition fight, let alone a real fight. So the idea of Manny Pacquiao coming back now, I mean, look, it's always for financial reasons. Boxing's littered with fighters that want to come back, and it's up to people like broadcasters, promoters, managers to stop it from happening.
Well, broadcasters won't stop it, will they?
Broadcasters will, because the numbers are cheap.
He's got for money, is he? I thought he was running the Philippines.
Well, listen, I mean, whatever the motivation is, he shouldn't be in this situation. It lacks credibility. It lacks substance. It sort of, to me, it discredits the principles of what the WBC should represent, but I think they're poor representation of themselves now anyway. But you look at it and say, I mean, Frank was making a case, Frank Warren, the other day about, well, George Foreman came back at XYZ age, but George Foreman didn't come back and fight a world title instantaneously.
No.
He went through the...
Which is the key issue here, that it's a world title fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is not great. He's not fighting a great champion, but he's fighting a current champion.
Yeah.
And Manny Pacquiao is 46 years of age, and his last competitive fight, he looked like he was all done, didn't he?
Yeah.
And so we're not going to see anything better. So what is the purpose of this? Boxing is in a really good place right now in so many different ways. And this adds credibility to the argument being run by people like Turki Al-Sheikh about the idea of getting some proper governance inside this sport and getting a league that only matches the best against the best, because that's what the punter wants to see.
Right. Well, we'll get to that. But let me put this to you, Ade. Is there more credibility to this than there is to, say, those crossover fights that have caused so much debate?
No, this is worse. I know.
Worse?
I know what the crossover fights are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Worse
I
than
tune in.
Ngannou Joshua.
Yeah, they're just fun, glorified exhibition fights. I know what they are. There are no titles on the line. It's just it's almost gimmicky.
Yeah.
this has been branded as a legit world title fight. This is, again, as I said, this is the belt that everyone wants to win. This is the WBC belt. There are rankings for a reason. There are fighters that fight their way for the WBC to be put in a lofty ranking to get a world title shot, apologies. And then here comes Manny Pacquiao. I woke up Wednesday and he's ranked number 5 by the WBC. Having not had a fight for 4 years, having not won a fight for 6 years, he's now put himself, or they put him in a ranking position to fight for a world title fight. So, this is worse than the crossover fight.
So, Ade, let's get to Simon's point. After decisions like this, how can people not be on board with Turki Al Sheikh's plans for a centralised boxing league format?
I mean, I'm not sure about that. What we do need is a world governing body in the sport. And we've needed it for years because it's the wild, wild west in boxing, and this proves it. You can pretty much do whatever you want when there's money involved. And I think Simon touched on it at the beginning there. There's a lot of money involved in a Pacquiao comeback fight, whether it be the casinos in Vegas, the hotels in Vegas, the sanctioning fees, the pay-per-view revenue, the bums on seats.
Right.
He will sell out. And that needs to be stopped.
So do we need all these sanctioning bodies like the WBC? Get rid of them. No? Get rid of them.
I mean, you have FIFA sitting on top of football, but you have international federation. Each country has its own federation, doesn't it? But it's governed by the bureaucracy that FIFA instills over the principles of the game. So you could have the same thing in boxing, holding all the different licensing and sanctioning bodies to a certain standard and making sure that standard isn't diminished. So that when you see fights, I remember years and years ago, obviously for obvious reasons, Tyson wasn't given a license to fight, so they gave him a license to fight in Memphis. Yeah. And I went to that fight and he had to fight in Memphis because most of the states in America wouldn't have him because of his criminal convictions and also because of his behaviour with Evander Holyfield back in the day. But now you see sanctioning bodies like Florida that will license anything.
Anything. Well, and that's why I'm shocked that Nevada State Athletic Commission are licensing it because
they are credible.
They are credible and one of the strictest. Very quickly on sort of get rid of the sanctioning bodies. And look, there's been sort of so many people say bin the belts, and I get it. But when I speak to young fighters or I see fighters for the first time win a title or win a world title, it means so much to them. So as much as I'd say get rid of the WBC and the WBA and all those belts, when you speak to these fighters coming through, fighters that have worked so hard, who have not been sort of funded and pushed because they're an Olympic champion, and they work their way up the correct way and then win a world title, it means so much to them. So for that reason alone, I would say keep the belts.
It's still a big draw though, isn't it?
It's a massive draw.
In terms of what Turki Al Sheikh has bought.
Yeah.
So there's still that opportunity to get the heritage and the legacy feeling about it if you win the Ring magazine belt, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. But again, it's images of sort of Mike Tyson with the WBC belt and Floyd Mayweather and then Manny Pacquiao to an extent. And I think young fighters look at that and think, I want that. I want a piece of that. Sure. I think that's why it's important.
It was just the other day, Ade, we were talking about the prospect of getting rid of some of these sanctioning bodies. And Frank Warren, top promoter, was on with us, and this was his response to that.
I mean, if you look at UFC, for example, UFC it's a sport that, what is it, 20, 25 years old, whatever it is, blank piece of paper, started a sport. They've got their own ratings, their own governing body, their own medicals. Everything is in-house. And you can't do that in boxing. Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. That is not going to happen in boxing because one, you couldn't put on all the shows around the world that are needed. The amount of boxers there are. Not everybody's not going to buy into that. And secondly, as much as when we do get things that are not that we're not happy with and people on the outside can criticize boxing for, there is a lot of good things that have been going on and have been going on for quite a while. A lot of unifications even before the Riyadh season. It's been happening. It's happening obviously more now, because for obvious reasons. But it is to try and just say, right, all you governing bodies, you're all finished and we're starting a new one. I'm sorry, I don't buy into that.
Yeah. So Frank's not for that. He's not buying into it. But if anybody could buy into it and do it, it's Turki Al Sheikh.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things. You can change things if you want to. If there's a will, there's a way. Right? And then ultimately, you've got Frank, and God love him, but you've got two of the leading promoters in the world that wouldn't speak to one another for about 10 years. And the only reason they have spoken to one another and we're seeing their fighters fight is because someone else has come in the room and filled it with money. So the idea that you can't change things and that you shouldn't change things and that things that are clearly not working for a variety of different reasons shouldn't be centrally governed by an overarching world federation that sits on top of all the individual sanctioning bodies and said, right, you will be held to these standards.
That's it.
I think that's what's being said.
That's it. Spot on. We're not saying get rid of all the sanctioning bodies. They play a part and they've been around for some of them over 100 years. It would be wrong just to kind of say press delete.
But
it's someone, it's someone that needs to control them. And for these decisions like this, it's like, okay, no, you can't do that. Manny Pacquiao can't come back at 46 and fight Mario Barrios. And look, with regards to another thing Frank said there about sort of the sanctioning bodies need to stay, and Turkey's come along and he spent, I don't know, upwards of £1 billion, and I think even he's decided, okay, enough, and he's trying to do his own breakaway thing because he realises it is literally a case of the Wild Wild West. So I don't know, boxing has been in a good space for the last couple of years, but
that's been great for Turkey as well, because the fact is the Wild Wild West, because the idea of investing in a sport is their privilege and their prerogative, and their motivations behind it are whatever they are, right? But the governance around boxing has enabled them to walk into a room and for everyone to universally point around and say, he's the king of boxing now.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that in football.
Right.
They couldn't do it in golf.
Yeah.
So the fact that it has enabled that,
says a lot.
Says a lot. And it also has helped him be in a position where he can now be critical of the very space that he doesn't.
Guys, I tell you what we're about to do now. We're going to head north of the border, because up there, waiting to speak to us when we come out of this break, we have Spencer Oliver and Josh Taylor. Spencer is not fighting Josh Taylor this weekend, but a gentleman called Essuman is up at Glasgow's Hydro Arena. So let's go up to Glasgow after this break. Why? Because I belong to Glasgow. Now then, this weekend, the fight for the vacant WBO International Welterweight title is on the line as Josh Taylor goes in against the very dangerous Essuman at welterweight level. Let's look ahead to the fight now with DAZN. And we're going to head north. We're going to head to my hometown, Glasgow. And I'm delighted to say, waiting to speak to us, is the former undisputed light welterweight champion, Josh Taylor. Josh, good afternoon to you. Good to see you. Good to speak to you.
How you doing, guys? He's okay?
Very good, mate. It's a bit of a passport job for you, because, I mean, you live and breathe life over in the East Coast, on the other side of Edinburgh. So how do you feel being in Glasgow? Are you a bit disorientated at the moment?
A little bit disorientated. Got to watch where I'm going, and I've seen a few people wearing their shoes on the wrong feet and all that sort of stuff. This is a bit different, this neck of the woods, but they're all friendly bunch.
Listen, Addy's with me and so is Simon. But Josh, I remember having a great chat with you. Do you remember up on the 17th floor of this very building, the news building, in the reception to the talkSPORT area? And life was great, and you were thoroughly optimistic about what lies ahead. But you go into this one after consecutive defeats to Teofimo Lopez and Jack Catterall. So where are you at right now?
I'm in a great space, I'm in a great mental space. With the Teo fight, I had factors that with that injury I wasn't able to prepare properly, and then it showed in the fight after 4 or 5 rounds. My legs was gone, and then obviously again with the Catterall fight, no excuses. But then I had like an operation on my eyes 4 weeks or 5 weeks before the fight, so then that hindered my sparring and all that kind of stuff. So, but he won the fight, and that's it. So it is what it is. Got 2 defeats. Just because you had a couple of defeats, so what? So what? I mean, look at the UFC guys. They've all got 15 losses and 5 knockouts, and it matters not a jot. As long as you're putting on good fights and good performances and performing entertaining fights, providing entertaining fights, then I shouldn't see why it matters.
One thing, looking at Josh here, he looks so healthy.
He does.
Yeah, he looks really healthy. That makes me happy and annoyed at the same time, because I've always been saying that Josh should have been at 147 sort of 3-4 years ago. Honestly, after the Ramirez fight, there was a lot of talk about Josh fighting Terence Crawford. That was a legit thing, and obviously Josh decided to stay at 140 and have those 2 fights. And I used to see him on the scales. I know fighters will always say, I'm okay, I've made the weight, but you could see it in someone's face and physical body appearance. Is that
right, Josh? Is that right? Because I was talking to Sam Jones the other day about you, and I said that the step up, making weight for Josh was a problem. You said it wasn't in the studio about a year ago when you were fighting Jack Catterall. Sam Jones was making the point that actually I know Josh's nutritionist, he doesn't have a problem making the weight. That's a false situation. What is the real situation, Josh?
I think I'd completed boxing at 140 in a sense. I had achieved everything. What else was there for me to do except for have rematches with other people, which I can still do, but I can do it at welterweight. So
But is it a better weight for you now, Josh?
I needed new motivation and new goals. Sorry, what was that?
But is 147 a better weight for you now at this stage in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm not having to boil myself down much at all. Really, I was still full training last week with strength training and running and sprinting. When I was doing 140, I would have to cut back on the S&C stuff a little bit. Couldn't afford to put on any muscle in terms of strength training. I was limited in what I could do, and that's in that department. So now that's all been lifted. You know, so give me 18 months, I'll be a force to be reckoned with, you know, and especially in the next year.
Josh, it's been good times for you at the Hydro, right? You're bringing big time boxing back to Scotland, which is good because there aren't that many big Scottish fighters coming through. Obviously, Lee McGregor's on the undercard and he's a big name to look out for. But what's it like being back home, Josh? Home comforts. Again, you know it's going to be an incredible atmosphere up there. What's that like?
Yeah, it's great. You know, I always get a great welcome in here and a great reception here. So, yeah, it's great. It's great being back home and amongst my own people again and hearing the familiar tongue. You know, so yeah, it's good.
Can I ask you what the game plan is? I know you're not going to look past Echo, who's a decent fighter. It was a good test for you. But one of the things I was raising the other day was about the potential of a fight with someone like Conor Benn. Are these the sort of things that would reverberate in your world, or is it, okay, Conor Benn put on a great show against Chris Eubank Jr., but I want world titles?
Well, absolutely. You know, it's, at this stage in my career, if it makes money, it makes sense. You know, but obviously my goals and targets and ambitions are to become a two-weight world champion. So, I need to get this one done on Saturday, and then we'll see what's happening. So, but I ain't looking forward or any past Saturday. But my long-term goals and ambitions is to become a two-weight world champion. So, whatever path drives me towards that direction, that's the path I'll be taking, rather than the money fights or whatever. I'll be taking the path that's going to take me towards the title.
You might need this Glasgow crowd on Saturday night to get right behind you, Josh, because this Essuman is no fool, is he?
No, absolutely not. He's a force to be reckoned with, and this is why we picked him, because we knew that this is going to be a tough fight at welterweight for to dip my toes in at the weight, and it ain't no dipping no toes in kind of fight. It's a hard fight, so this will tell me when I get through this, once I dealt with Echo on Saturday, this will tell me where I'm at and where I can go.
One thing I think we all want to see, Josh, boxing fans, I think in general, is you being active. Obviously this will be your first fight in 12 months, and prior to that you've had your injuries, as you mentioned. You had the eye surgery. Is that the plan now? If all goes well on Saturday, no injuries, nothing, that we do see you busy for the back end of 2025 and a really big push in 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. Touch wood, get through the fight on Saturday with no cuts or bruises or injuries to hands or anything like that, and then we can get out maybe mid to late summer again, you know, and then if that one goes early, maybe get out just before Christmas again, you know. So I'm looking to get back active and be a proper active fighter again over the next couple of years and get another 4 or 5 fights in, definitely. Josh,
can I quickly get your take on another fight in your division now? It's now your division, right? Manny Pacquiao coming back at 46 to fight Mario Barrios.
Yeah.
What's your honest take on it? Because obviously, look, us around here, we're not fighters, right? And we've got our thoughts on it. But you as a fighter, what's your thoughts on a legend like that coming back at 46?
Obviously, I think it's great for me as a fan. You know, Manny Pacquiao, for me, growing up, was my idol. That's who I based myself and tried to base and copy my style on and stuff, and copy on watching videos and videos and videos of him. So I'm a huge fan of him. But I'm coming back at, what was it, 46? You said?
Yeah.
I think it's too old. But you know, just because he's old doesn't really matter. I mean, George Foreman come back and won a world title again at 40-odd-year-old. So if he can do it, why can't Manny do it?
Josh,
personally, I think, you know, why not? No, I think it's maybe a bit too late, but why not?
Good to speak to you, Josh. Listen, before you leave me, enough of all this boxing chat. Is the purveyor of wonderful ice cream at Lucas Cafe in Musselburgh still on the go, mate?
Absolutely, it's still there. The best ice cream gaff in the country. It's beautiful.
I am thrilled to hear that, and you and I are going to sit down and have a bowl of salted caramel very soon, mate. We're going to do that.
I'll hold you to it. I'll look forward to it.
Josh,
man.
good luck on Saturday,
Good luck,
mate.
Josh.
Thank you so much for joining us, mate.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Josh Taylor with us this lunchtime. That fight, of course, Taylor against Essuman is live in talkSPORT. And, of course, we were looking ahead to Taylor Essuman with DAZN. It is Thursday lunchtime, and that means we're talking boxing. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Ade Oladipo, and we're live here, coming to you live from the news building here at London Bridge in the magnificent city of London. And we headed up there north of the border to speak to Josh Taylor, who's in action this weekend. But Josh Taylor, as we emphasise, goes into his fight at the weekend up there against Essuman off the back of a couple of defeats, of course. One to Teofimo Lopez, the other at the hands of Jack Catterall, and there was no love lost between Catterall and Josh Taylor. I'm delighted to say the same Jack Catterall is set for an all-British bout in Manchester this summer at Manchester's AO Arena on July the 5th, to be precise, when he goes in against Harlem Eubank, the undefeated Harlem Eubank. And Jack Catterall joins us live this lunchtime. Jack, how are you, mate?
Very good, thank you. Good afternoon, guys. How is everybody?
Good afternoon, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
We're very good, Jack. We're just speaking to Josh Taylor there, who looks lean and slim and ready to fight again. Do you two keep in touch, or do you keep each other at arm's length?
Yeah, you know what? We've not spoke since the fight. I think you guys know that. I'll be watching this weekend. I've been doing some sparring with Essuman. They've been in touch. They've been up to the gym a couple of times. I'll be watching, but we know I've got a fight coming up. Selfishly, got to focus on that and leave your man to do what he's got to do.
But you've been sparring with Essuman, so what kind of prospect faces Josh on Saturday night then?
Essuman's very fit, very strong. Nicknamed the Engine. He'll keep coming. I'm excited to watch the fight. It's interesting for me. Shared the ring with Josh twice. I've been sparring Essuman. Although I don't believe I've got a similar style to Josh. They obviously wanted the work still. So I was happy to oblige, give him some great rounds, and we'll see what happens over the weekend.
Josh, obviously, look, you versus Harlem Eubank now done. It's been rumoured for a long time. It's now sort of signed and sealed. 147 as well. Is that the plan? I mean, are we now having a 147 run? Josh has obviously gone to 147. It's looking like a busy division. Or is it a case of get this job done, go back to 140 because... I mean, look, there are so many big names at 140. You fought a couple of them already, but there are still many that are lined up that you can fight.
Yeah, I think if you look at the landscape now of the division, the 140, the 147, a lot of guys are coming up to 147. So when this fight was proposed, it was, I think Harlem's done 140 2 fights ago.
Yeah.
He's boxed at a catch weight. He's boxed at 147. For the right fights, we'll do 147. The ambition and the dream still is there to win a world title at 140, but you're seeing a lot of guys that are probably natural 140 fighters fighting at 47. So if it makes sense, it makes sense. I'm a 140 fighter. I can make 140 comfortably, but this one's at welterweight.
How difficult is it? The last couple of fights for you have been in and around the very elite of the division, right? Right at the top of the tree. Regis Prograis right at the top of the tree. Arnold Barboza certainly that. Harlem Eubank, not that. How difficult is it to make sure that you stay fully focused and motivated, although there is no sort of world title implications if you do win this one, whereas your last couple of fights, that's been the carrot that's been dangled in front of your face?
You know what? It's not difficult at all. I think with me, we've got a huge domestic fight with Harlem. That gets me excited. And I'm on the back foot. I'm coming off a narrow points loss to Barboza, which was frustrating. And I'm kicking myself. And ultimately, I got straight back in the gym and I'm improving. I'm looking to be better. And let's be serious. I need to win July the 5th. I'm putting that pressure on myself. And I guess the boxing community will put that pressure on me, but I'm embracing it. He's undefeated. He's a slick, tidy fighter, but I believe I'm better than him. So I'm relishing the pressure, and nothing excites me more than a domestic clash.
He's won what, Ade? All 21 of his bouts, Eubank, since becoming professional in 2017.
Yeah, look, I spoke to Harlem on Saturday. This is a massive, massive fight for Harlem.
Right.
I mean, this is a banana skin for Jack.
That's what I was thinking.
This is Harlem's like looking at this thinking, wow, okay, I've been given this opportunity to fight someone that, again, was at the top tree at 140 pounds. So Harlem's looking at this like, if I beat Jack, then I'm there. And I think we've had a good run of domestic fights recently. I mean, we've had really good arenas, stadiums have been filled. So this is a good time for British boxing right now. So Jack said he's on the back foot. He lost his last fight. And Arnold Barboza then didn't go on to look good against Teofimo Lopez. So
Teofimo Lopez looked very good.
Or the Teofimo Lopez looked very good. So yeah, look, it's a massive fight for both. But if you're Harlem, you're rubbing your hands together that you've been given such an opportunity to fight what I think is a really still world-class fighter in Jack Catterall.
Right. So Jack, what will we see from you? What kind of job do you hope to do?
Yeah, sorry, just back to that. We was talking about it weekend, and I was getting questioned on why Harlem. But I think for me at this stage, we could have picked somebody in one of the governing bodies in the top 15. That doesn't excite the British fight fans. That doesn't excite me. And we could have wrapped up a comfortable win and gone and chased something else. But this domestic fight, it's tasty. The Eubank name's trending. It's hot right now. So that's what kind of gets me excited.
Excellent. And Jack, I mean, you're getting what 30, 31, mate. What's your take on Manny Pacquiao coming back at 46?
It's difficult. Manny Pacquiao, a legend, another southpaw fighter. I've looked up to him for many years. Unbelievable fighter, but I mean, what's the reason for what? Why are you coming back? You've achieved everything and more, but if the hunger's still there and he's still performing in the gym and he's not taking too much punishment, then every credit to him.
Okay, Jack Catterall, thanks as always for joining us.
No, thank you very much. God bless, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Cheers.
Lovely. From Jack there, looking ahead to his fight that's coming up on the 5th of July in Manchester. Let's head back north of the border. It's too late for any comeback for Spencer Oliver, who has struck up 5 decades now. He is now 50 years of age and doesn't look 1 month over 63. Spencer, good afternoon to you. How's the atmosphere building in Glasgow, mate?
Yeah, the atmosphere is building really well here. There's a big queue outside, and it's another homecoming for Josh Taylor. The Hydro Arena, a venue that he's very familiar with. He's got a tough fight on his hands against Essuman. He's a very tough welterweight. The move up in weight, by the way, I think is a good move for Josh Taylor. I think that he's been dead at the weight, at super lightweight or light welterweight or whatever you want to call it, for a long time. I've seen him at weigh-ins when he's made the weight, and it was more about beating the scales than the opponent in the end. That's pretty much where he was at. So let's hope we see a new reinvented Josh Taylor at welterweight, and we'd love to see him become a 2-weight world champion, wouldn't we? I mean, he's been a phenomenal fighter over the years, and he deserves that opportunity.
Spence, I guess we'll know from the outset just what Josh has got left, right? Because I like Echo. I think Echo is a tough fighter, but we also know what Echo's limit is right now. We know where Echo is, which is British and maybe fringe European level. If Josh does have the ambitions to become a world champion, this is a fighter that he should beat. Not comfortably, but it's a fighter that he should beat. So we'll find out what's left of Josh by the end of Saturday night, right?
Ade, absolutely, and I think that Josh wanted that test as well. He said that Essuman was the first name that was presented to him as a welterweight, and it wasn't an easy fight because we know Echo has that engine and he pushes on and he drives, and he's also got that fighting spirit as well. We saw that against Aaron Cooper when he got knocked down in that second round, heavily knocked down, and come back to stop him. So he's got a lot of character in there as well. It's a good test this for Josh Taylor, but that's what he wanted to see, exactly where he was at in his career, because his super lightweight days are gone. And he wants a test at welterweight before he kicks on with some of the bigger names you were mentioning earlier in the show, the likes of the Conor Benns, or even going on to try and win world titles at this weight as well.
Spencer, speaking to Josh Taylor, he was quite positive about the impending return of Manny Pacquiao at the age of 46. Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I'm not positive. It's like me coming back, boys, and I've been retired for some time now. Look, listen, 46 years of age, 8-weight world champion. He's achieved everything. His legacy is cemented in the sport. And as Ade highlighted earlier on in the show, him having that, exhibition fight against an ex-kickboxer and looking terrible in that one as well. You go, how does he come back? And the WBC should be ashamed of themselves, allowing him to fight Mario Barrios for the WBC world title without even having a warm-up fight to see exactly where he's at. I think it's all wrong. I think that, when you're talking about systems being broken, that's where the system is broken, because you've got young fighters out there that are, grafting to get to that position, putting everything into it, and all of a sudden this guy goes, hold on, you know, I'm a legend of the sport and I want to come out of retirement, so give me the world title shot straight away. I don't think that's right. I think it's wrong. And, you know, I love Manny Pacquiao, one of my favourite fighters of all time. And, you know, used to watch him growing up as a young kid as well. That's a crazy thing. And then to see him still boxing, don't like it.
Yeah, Spencer, briefly, we saw Dave Allen win in fairly spectacular form on Saturday night, of course, over Johnny Fisher. What should be next for Dave Allen in your view? There's talk of Chisora, there's talk of White, there's talk of Adelaide.
Yeah, listen, there's big opportunities now for Dave Allen. That's, you know, the heavyweight landscape at the moment. You see these fights, you're only one win away from putting your name in the mix, and that's what we saw there with Dave Allen. I mean, he went in there, people think that it was all about Johnny Fisher and how he adjusted, how he adapted to get the victory, and Dave Allen tore up the script. I think it was a great performance, and he's opened the door. I think he's got to look at the winner of Jamie TKV, David Adelaide, get that British title shot. He's always talked and dreamed of winning the British title. He sees that as his limit in boxing. He says if he does that, he feels like he's achieved everything, and I think off the back of that performance, he deserves that.
Excellent, Spencer. You made up with Johnny's dad yet?
I've not had the phone call just yet, but let's see. Never say never, Jim.
Never say never, Spence.
No,
Thank you very
never.
much
Say
indeed.
never. That phone call's not coming.
That phone call, yeah, it'll be a long time by the phone, Spencer. Thank you very much indeed, Spencer, up in Glasgow, as we head into the home straight. It is Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Ade Oladipo, and we are live in talkSPORT talking boxing this Thursday lunchtime. We've been here, there and everywhere, haven't we? We've been to Manchester to speak to Jack Catterall. We were up in Glasgow speaking to Josh Taylor. In fact, let's go back to Glasgow because Josh Taylor fights Essuman this weekend at welterweight, and waiting to speak to us up there in my hometown is a man of whom many think this guy is going to go places in the fight game, right to the very top. And he is Moses Itauma, who goes in this weekend on the undercard to Taylor Essuman at heavyweight level. Moses Itauma will fight Mike Balogun. Moses, good afternoon to you, mate.
Good afternoon, mate.
Good to speak to you again. Welcome to Glasgow. It is a great city, but I would say that. So how are you feeling about going in against this man Balogun?
No, I feel good. I feel ready to go. But I feel like, obviously, Josh Taylor's packed out this arena, so I feel like I've got to make a quick job of him and obviously let everyone get onto the main event.
I'm trying to rein in my excitement for what I think Moses is going to become in the next 12 to 18 months. It's difficult because I hear all the stories about sparring and everyone tells me that he is the future. If I'm trying to rein it in, I always wonder how difficult it is for you, Moses, to kind of control what everyone thinks you're going to be and just almost keep your feet on the ground. Is it becoming more difficult, or are you just very relaxed and it's like just every day is a new day?
Do you know what? Other people's opinions have got nothing to do with me. Like I've said that countless of times. Going into this fight, I feel like a lot of people are basically just saying like, yeah, I'm going to knock him out and whatnot, and like, I probably would, but the thing is, it's like going into that fight with that mindset. Yeah, it's like I don't really get no positives out of it, because if I don't knock him out, then it's like, I didn't do the job I was supposed to do, and then if obviously, God forbid, if I was to lose, then do you know what I mean, all hell breaks loose. So it's like it's a sticky predicament. I'd rather be in a fight where people feel like I'm not going to win, so then I can prove them wrong. But I keep proving people wrong, and it's kind of weird. I'm going to have to prove them right this time.
It's an interesting point, isn't it, when you put it like that, that ultimately he's a hostage to fortune in terms of everyone expects him to knock these guys out. When you hear Frank talking about people like Martin Bakole, when you get into those conversations, the balance will shift a little bit, because obviously Bakole, up until a recent point, was considered to be the bogeyman of the division. How do you fancy those sort of fights, Moses?
I mean, I'm not thinking about them fights. Obviously, I've got Mike Balogun who's in front of me, and obviously I want to get rid of him. But after that, I don't know. But Bakole's probably not a wise idea, because he's not the man he once was. So if he manages to get that boogeyman back, if that makes sense, that boogeyman title, then it's a good opportunity to fight him. But you wouldn't fight a man after just been knocked out of Joseph Parker and had a trash performance against F.A. Jaguar. Like, what'd you get out of that?
Right, well, I can't big you up and I can't take you down, right? So I'll take you back to this fight then, which is Balogun, right? You go into this situation with Balogun, what does he represent? Because the big question about you, Moses, is everyone's raving about you, and everyone asks you the same bloody question: how do you keep your feet on the floor? And the big question I always ask is, we'll see what happens to when someone puts one on him. But what does this guy represent? What does challenge for this particular fight?
So Mike Balogun, he's got a good record. He's got fast hands. If I be honest, it was a fight where an opportunity was presented to me, and it was worth waiting out for. So we waited out for it, and the opportunity didn't like fulfill itself.
Oh, wait, what's this opportunity, Moses? Don't skip that. Don't skip that. Don't skip that, Moses. Come on, what was this opportunity?
I might have to tell you when I'm in the studio one day. But listen, like the opportunity that I had didn't fulfill itself, so I just had to get on the show, and we're here. Boxing Mike Balogun.
Yeah, well, good luck on Saturday night on the undercard to Taylor Eckerman. All the very best to you, Moses Itauma. He was saying there, Ade, you probably heard it yourself, Simon. Moses is saying there, as for Martin Bakole, he's not the man he once was. Let's go live to Billy Nelson, Martin Bakole's trainer, who joins us live this lunchtime. Billy, is your man the same man, or is Moses right? He's not the man he once was.
Well, he's very much the same man. He's just a little heavier. but we're going to we've addressed that issue with immediate effect. You know, a bit disrespectful for Moses to say that it was a trash performance in his last fight. I mean, we're talking about the same guy that took the distance with the Argentinian that Richard Riakpo knocked out in 4 rounds.
So how is Martin at this stage? Because we know what happened when he stepped in late to fight Joseph Parker, and it ended badly for him. And since then, it's been a draw with Efe Ajagba. So where's he at?
Well, we're back in the gym on Monday. I'm sure we'll have fight news very, very, very soon. And I mean, listen, Frank Warren has come out and said that he fancies a Ituama fight anytime. I said, well, as far as I'm aware, we're fighting in August. That being the case, we'd gladly fight Ituama at the end of the year. Absolutely no issues whatsoever.
That's interesting, Billy, because obviously Moses has got the name, but in terms of what he's done so far, the CV doesn't represent much, right? Whereas Bakole initially was heading straight for world title fights. So it would almost be a step back from the plan to get Martin to a world title fight, but obviously it's a name. So are you willing to kind of sacrifice a world title fight for a name?
Not at all. Not at all. Because Moses hasn't got a name yet. Has he really? I mean, he's an outstanding talent, but he's not beat anybody of note yet, is he?
So why would you give him the opportunity?
Well, if we never had for talk's sake, if we never fought for an interim world title or a final eliminator, if there was nothing in the pipeline for Martin, then we'd entertain it.
Okay.
Absolutely no worries whatsoever.
Billy, we're tight for time this lunchtime, but we appreciate you joining us as always. Martin Bakole's trainer, Billy Nelson, speaking to us from Glasgow. We've been in Glasgow, Manchester, back to Glasgow, over to Billy's house. We've been all over the place. That's how we like it.
Yeah, I like Billy Nelson. We spoke quite a lot. I was in Saudi for his fight, Martin versus Efe, and Billy's just got to get a hold of Martin's weight. It's that simple. I mean, 300 pounds, he needs to be around the 280 mark. If Billy can control that, then I do think it's a risky fight for Moses. But if he can't, because I know for a fact that when he's not in camp, he just balloons up. He just balloons up way past 300 pounds. So good luck to Billy Nelson trying to control that.
He's not the only one. I'll need to start controlling mine. Simon, very well done. I shall see you at the beginning of the week. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the company, I think, of Troy Deeney and Alex Crook. In the meantime, thank you so much, Ade Oladipo.
Cheers, Jim.
Brilliant
Cheers,
as always. As we this Thursday lunchtime bowl up to 1 o'clock.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.